Severa's taking care of Allie, but it may be some time until her nerves have settled. If a vision you witness is indeed true, Alphonse and Rex locked her away for her own safety. When she's ready, I would know more of what her brother hopes to achieve, and why he must resort to such desperate measures. Allie's condition has improved somewhat, but she remains in a state of shock. We must give her more time to recover. There's one other thing I thought you should know. When we checked her for injuries, we saw that her back is covered in welts and bruises. Who did this to her? It seems you were subjected to beatings on a regular basis, judging by the varied stages of bruising. I dare say this was the work of her Gallian masters. You speak as though you have seen this before. Seen? I've lived through it myself. I was born in VIIth, 23 summers past. My mother was a local woman, but my father was a poor-blooded Gallian and a member of the occupying forces. Though I know very little about him, his rank afforded me imperial citizenship. His acknowledgement of our familiar ties was the extent of the responsibility he took for bringing me into this world. Still, it's more than can be said for most of his ilk. My mother and I were shunned by the people of VIIth, who treated us as badly as the Gallians did, if not worse. I thought that, if I were to become an imperial soldier, my position might somehow deter those who would cast scorn on my mother, if only out of fear. And so I joined the army. The acceptance I earned was but temporary, however, and my superiors were quick to blame any perceived shortcomings on my savage lineage. Rather than waste time on official court-martials, they administered their own form of corporeal punishment. I was eventually assigned to the 12th Legion and fought under Xenos Galvus in Alamigo. In the chaos that followed our defeat, I seized the opportunity to flee to VIIth. While it was never much of a home, it was all I had, but nothing could compare me for what awaited. My mother had for many years suffered from poor health and relied on medicine to keep her alive. In my absence, the Guardians had denied her treatment, claiming that it would be wasted on savages. By the time I could return to her side, there was naught I could do. There was nothing left for me in VIIth. I would be punished for desertion if the Imperials discovered the reason for my return, and I was never accepted by my so-called countrymen to begin with. I ran as far as my legs could carry me. It was then that I met Gaius. So that's the truth of it. Other than a few scant details, I knew naught of your past. It sickens me to think that I once fought under the same banner as such vile creatures. I had always believed it would be the duty of the strong to lead the weak, yet there are those who become drunk on the power afforded by their station and prey on the ones they should protect. Like a canker, this corruption has spread to every part of the Empire. Even those with Gallian blood, such as myself, are subjected to their cruelty. They hold particular contempt for the aura, an easy target for abuse being so few in numbers. Perhaps like me, Allie thought she would be spared such treatment once she joined the army. Alas. I only hope that, with time, Allie can put the past behind her and make a new life for herself. But for now, all we can do is wait for her delirium to subside. It is Verdolin's turn to keep watch. Let us ask him if there has been any change. I suppose you're here to ask about Allie. Is she well enough to speak with us? As her condition has improved somewhat, I would say so, provided you do not cause her any undue distress. Wait here. Allie, I'm sorry. What happened to Rex? It was my fault. Melisandre and Raikon too. They died because of me and my foolish ambitions. Father, no. This cannot go on. Please, Allie, you must tell me all you know. Of course. First, I need to know what became of you and your siblings after we were parted. So much has happened. It seems like a lifetime ago. After your disappearance, we were all assigned to the newly formed 7th Legion. At first, each legatus was quickly replaced by the next, until eventually a name named Valens van Varro was given command. He was sent from the capital, but before that, he was specialized in experimental magitech weaponry. We later discovered that he was ordered by Emperor Varus to complete a project involving anti-primal war machina. The weapons. But after the Emperor's death, he was free to employ whatever methods he saw fit, and his greed for power only grew. Some even say he's planning to use the power of the weapons to lay claim to the throne. But I think there's another reason for his obsession with the weapon project. Not that he'd ever tell anyone, but he's always muttering to himself that I've been able to put the pieces together. He's jealous of you, Father. Valens van Varro. I must admit it was only recently that I first heard that name. Valens used his knowledge of magitech to devise various military strategies. He was given a position in the army and quickly rose through the ranks. That was until one man stood in his way. You, Father. He was one of the candidates to lead the new 14th Legion, but that role fell to you. After that he was assigned to serve under a far more gifted engineer, Nero, who was in charge of restoring the Ultima weapon. Valens has resented you ever since, going so far as to oppose the ideals you upheld. Where you treated those who serve the Empire based on merit rather than on their race or origin, Valen is adamant that pure-blooded Garleans are superior to all others. It never ceases to amaze me how far some will go in the name of revenge. All that hatred festering away. Nothing good could ever come of it. So the marks on your body are his handiwork? Yes. To Valens and his men we are no more than fodder for his experiments, playthings on which they can vent their frustrations. Every day is filled with nothing but pain. If I had remained in Garlemald, you would never have been forced to endure this abuse. It's not your fault, Father. You could have fled from Valens if he'd wanted to. After all, we are expendable and easily replaced. The truth is, that's exactly why we couldn't run. In saving ourselves, we would have condemned others. But if we were to stay, to see the weapon project to its completion, we would gain the power to defeat Valens and then the Empire itself, freeing the world from its tyranny. That way we might start afresh and find a place we can call home. Not just for us, but for anyone who wishes to live in peace. You would give your lives for a future you may not live to see. We took courage from your teachings, Father. The strong must lead the weak, and we would gain that strength by whatever means necessary. We will fight for the sake of those who cannot. But we knew that you'd never consent to our participation in the weapon project, which is why we couldn't turn to you for help. As the pilots, we are the only ones who are able to stop Valens. We know how powerful the weapons are. We would use them to bring the world to its knees. And his masterpiece is the worst of them all. If only I could my hands on it, and I could save Alphonse and all of Verlet. Father, I know you and Alphonse stand on opposing sides of this conflict. There must be some way you can help him. He may have called you our enemy before, but he never meant it. He still loves you, father. You are everything he aspires to be. I failed him. Failed you all. Okay, accidentally skipped a bit. Gaius nods. But I refuse to abandon him to his fate. I will free him from violence if it's the last thing I do. Thank you. He needs you, now more than ever. Listen, Allie. I once sought the strength to rebuild the world as I saw fit. But the ultimate weapon was born not to create, but to destroy. Alphonse must not follow in my footsteps. I know all too well where they lead. I will do all I can to help your brother. Pray, tell me where he is. I'm sorry, I don't know where he could be. In that case, I shall have the Alliance dispatch scouts. Wherever he is, we will find him. As for you, Allie, you must stay here and rest. Wait, you're the one who fought Rex, Riken, and Melisandria, aren't you? We are the ones who threatened your homeland. You did what you had to. I have no right to ask this of you, but... lend my father your strength. Self Alphonse. I know now why they call you hero. Alphonse, I'll do what I must to free you, even if it means going against father's wishes. But I have a good feeling about his new friend. Severa, see that she has everything she needs. Our allies must be informed of these troubling events. May I ask you to relay this news to the troops in Germania? Your loving father acted may fool the others, Gaius, but not me. For every life you've saved, you've ended 1,000 more. Or is it your idea of redemption? Call it what you will. For all my transgressions, I believe I still have a part to play. Was I wrong to spare you that day? Or will you honor your word? It seems the time has come for a black wolf to show his true colors. We recently received word of your victory over the Emerald weapon. I expect it was another fine display on your part, not that any of us were there to see it. For that reason, we'd be grateful if you could give us a blow-by-blow account if you wouldn't mind. Good grief, sounds like you had an awful lot to contend with. Rather you than me. I shall add this to our ever-growing stack of reports, should anyone wish to review this information ahead of the next sortie. Now, if I may say so, it looks like your ordeals have taken their toll. We'll let you know if anything requires your attention, but until then, be sure to get some rest. Meanwhile, in the 7th Legion's correction chamber. Free weapons. Free pitiful displays of inaptitude. To make matters worse, one of my prime candidates, your precious sister no less, has escaped. And who should she go crawling to but that swine Gaius, after everything I have done for her, and this is how she repays me. As her brother, it's your responsibility to instill some discipline in her, and you failed miserably. Well, don't just stand there, boy. Of course, it's your first time, isn't it? Come along. There's no need to be shy. You see, something wicked has taken hold of this young man, and it's our job to cleanse his troubled spirit. It may look painful, but it's the only way, I assure you. You'll be ever so grateful, and you want him to get better, don't you? There's a good boy. Now let's try again, shall we? Burn out the bat, burn out the bat, burn out the bat, burn out the bat. Burn out the bat, burn out the bat, burn out the bat, burn out the bat. 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 Well done. You've all made Father proud. Very proud indeed. As for you, I thought you were cut above the rest of the savages, but it appears I was mistaken. And since you allowed that wretched sisters of yours to escape, it falls to you to act as her replacement. I choose you as the next pilot, and your mission is simple. Kill Gaius von Belzer, whatever it takes. And if you so much as entertain the idea of betraying me again, I'll exterminate every last one of your kind. Like the vermin they are. Having said that, we'll be forcibly initiating Oversoul using Xenos' combat data, so whatever schemes you may be hatching will never come to pass. All you need to do is sit back and let the synthetic oversight system do the work, with you as its conduit. You should thank me for allowing you to become a part of my masterpiece. Your worthless existence will finally have some semblance of meaning. Lord Valens, preparations for the Oversoul trial are complete. We await your orders. Splendid. There's never a dull moment around here. Now then, boys, who'd like to see something special? Come along, everyone. Father has secrets to share with you. This is my chance. All thanks to the sacrifices made by my dear siblings. Finally, the weapon will be mine to command. Once it's reached completion, I will be unstoppable. First violence, then the Empire itself will fall. And we will be free at last. Father, keep Allie safe. Melisandre, Riken, Rex, I'll see this through to the end. I promise. Until then, watch over me. So, is it ready or not? The trial sequence has been primed, sir. Then get on with it. Initiating synthetic oversight system. Loading diamond weapon simulation. What's going on? You're helping us with a little research is all. Whatever your name is. The time has come for you to contribute to the glory of Garlemald. This isn't what we agreed. You said that if I took part in the experiment, you'd let my family go. You have Zenith's data loaded, yes? Activate Oversoul and be quick about it. Understood, log violence. Galvus combat sample ready. Initiating organic core override. My mind is no. Is this what it takes to protect you both? I love you. I'm so sorry. Where's my prey? Organic core override complete. Xenos Galvus data loaded. The subject is instinctively bound to seek out prey right from the outset. Regardless of the combat prowess it may boast, I need an obedient servant, not a ravenous beast. Enough, shut it down. Deactivating synthetic oversight system. Oh, revolting, and what a mess it makes of a cockpit. Adjust for settings and prepare for another one. Fortunately, we have a next test subject ready and waiting. But sir, you agreed to release his family in exchange for his cooperation. My, I never knew you had such a wonderful sense of humor. The great Valens Van Vero bargaining with savages? More fool him for trusting me in the first place. Whew. Okay. That man is insane. And not the fun kind. Serenia, I was hoping I might have a word with you. Ever since Conclave was liberated, we've been sending troops to aid in getting the town back on its feet, helping the residents, that sort of thing. We Alamegans know how hard life can be for society struggling to stand on its own after years of imperial rule. A lot of what most people would take for granted has to be built from the ground up. While we are able to assist when it comes to providing basic resources and keeping the place safe, there are countless other problems that need attending to. If you can spare the time, we could use your help. Bless you, Serenia. You really are a saint. I am sure the people of Conclave will benefit from having someone like you around. Once you're ready, I've worked with our usual escort. And get there. So the boss roped you into helping, huh, did he? I knew you couldn't say no. Burly engineer. The majority of the 7 leaders are sure to be stationed in the city of Verlet, the heart of this occupied territory. Whether Alphonse is there with them remains to be seen. According to Allie, another weapon lies in the wait, but where we do not know. It stands to reason, however, that if we were to find it, Alphonse would surely not be far away. While I'm painfully aware of the cruelty the Empire shows its enemies, even I am appalled to hear how it treats its own. War machina that feed on the very lives of a pilot can scarce imagine anything more heinous. Okay. You're the one who piloted the war machina and defeated the Sapphire weapon, aren't you? I thought so. I'd heard much about you, but I doubt you know who I am. My name is Avelina, and I grew up here. I stayed throughout the occupation and was put to work as a Magitech engineer. Thanks to you and yours, we are now rid of the Imperials, though I fear many of us will struggle to put the past behind us. For 10 long years we suffered at their hands. A whole generation of young people were forced into the army and sent off to die in some distant land. I suppose I could be considered one of a lucky few. My work here kept me away from a battlefield, and I hoped that my contributions might help the others live long enough to make their way home. In the end, most of them never returned. Though my efforts were in vain, I can at least honor their memory. I want to leave something behind for their sake, to prove that they haven't been forgotten. A monument bearing their names. To ensure that not a single person is omitted, I'd need to see the official list of conscripts. If one still exists, it would be inside the Imperial facility beneath the town. But with the resistance troops and ironworks engineer closing the place off, I can't get near it. Perhaps you might have a word with them for me? I'll leave as soon as I find the list. Thank you, I'll follow your lead. Alright. Something I can help you with? I see. A bit unusual for one of the locals to show an interest in the Imperial leavings, but it seems she has her reasons. Since we're still carrying out our investigation, we've closed off the place to prevent anyone interfering. Considering it's you asking though, I can hardly say no. Still, I'd better go with her, in case others kick up a fuss. You're very kind. I'm sorry for any trouble I've caused. You have my thanks. Think nothing of it. I was glad to help. As I suspected, the Imperials kept detailed records of the local conscripts. One name in particular stood out to me. My friend, Melisandre. I had no idea she'd been assigned to the 7th Legion of all places. What do you mean of all places? It all began while we were serving together in the 14th Legion. We had much in common, both being drafted from the same occupied territory, and soon became firm friends. Then one day she was sent to fight in Eorzea while I remained here. The day before she left, she came to say goodbye, together with her foster siblings from the orphanage. The youngest one, Riken, was particularly upset about not being allowed to speak with her adoptive father, Gaius von Belser, before they departed. It was actually another of his orphans, Livia Sasunius, who forbid them from seeing him. Can't say for certain, but it seems that Livia had a strong attachment to Gaius and wouldn't let anyone else near him. As far as I could tell, he tried his best to keep Livia at arm's length whenever possible. But her devotion to him was bordering on obsession, and she became extremely jealous at the slightest sign of affection between him and his other wards. Others, however, treated them far more kindly. In fact, a Prefectus Castrorum of the 14th Legion came specifically to meet them. While I was surprised that a Rogadin had risen to such a rank, I was even more taken aback by the unguarded manner in which he spoke with his subordinates. This is retarding, right? I had hoped that with people like him serving on the Eorzea front, they would be in safe hands. Then the time came for Melisandre to leave. We shared a few final words and then she was gone. It would be the last I ever saw of her. After that I was assigned to the Tribunus Laticlavius of the 14th Neurotol Scaber, and I worked on restoring the Ultima weapon. I was even at the Praetorium on the day it was destroyed. But I escaped aboard an Imperial ship moments before it came crashing down. I eventually made my way back to Verlet, only to be drafted into the 7th Legion to continue working on the weapon project. Even now it makes me sick to the stomach to think I'd helped bring those abominations into the world. Using a living pylon to feed the weapon's core was part of the design from the very beginning. Of course, they'd never dream of subjecting a true-born Garlean to such barbaric treatment. Not when the 7th has a ready supply of provincial conscripts right for the taking. The pilots were referred to only by their code names, and the engineers were not made privy to their true identities. Even with his list of conscripts, I still don't know who was sacrificed in the name of the weapon project. Your skills and knowledge can finally be put to good use. But what can I do? For years all I've known is how to build tools of destruction. The 7th Legion is far from finished. They're biding their time, waiting until the right moment to unleash the final weapon. And when they do, it will bring naught but death and woe to all who stand in their way. Even after everything they've taken from us, they still want more. If it went for the Empire, Melisandre would still be here. She was the kindest person I ever met. But to the Empire, she was just another pawn in their games. I will never forget her. There's a way I can make a difference, I know there is. But first, I need to speak with members of the Ironworks. I have a feeling that war machine I used to beat the Sapphire weapon will be called into action again. Until then, there's still time to make improvements, and I intend to help. I'll still be going ahead with a plan to build a monument, but stopping the Empire must come first. I hope Melisandre and the others can wait a little longer. Before I go, allow me to express my gratitude. I don't know what I'd have done if it weren't for you. Until we meet again. So, how was the time in Turncliffe? I see, fate has dealt her a cruel hand, but now she has a chance to make a fresh start. The same could be said for the whole of Turncliffe. Seems the liberation of that one small town will become a pivotal moment in Berlin's history. Perhaps it won't be too long before the rest of the region is free from the Empire. Naturally, we'd be honored to fight alongside the people of Verlet. We won't rest until the Imperials are sent fleeing with their tails between their legs. Until that day arrives, we'll carry on doing our bit to support you and the others in ending the weapon project. I'll be sure to pass on any pertinent information. In the meantime, take care. And, yeah, here it ends for now, I guess, until a later patch. 5.5 or something like that, probably? Okay, I probably somehow squeeze this into the last episode. And, yeah. Until next time, I'm Ace, and don't get lost.